Anderson are not here today, and they said they would have someone who was going to help out. Okay, then I'll go over some food items, and then the cameras will take care of some base camp things, and then do we have anyone from medical? All right, we will email you medical things. Were you going to say something, President Jerome? Okay. All right.
I try to control myself.
Thank you. I was told it was so hot in here just to help you get ready for how hot it's going to be on Trek. I think my wife had something to do with it because she's so cold all the time. I think she tried to turn up the heat a little bit, which in this church there's no middle ground with the heat. All right. So I called Sister Pingle. She is the missionary down at the Mosita Trek site, who's kind of in charge of everything. And I let her know that we were going to have our mom pa training. And I said, what should we go over? And she said, everything in this chapter from the handbook. So we've emailed this out, and we wanted everyone to have a hard copy just in case we were having problems with email. But really, everything that you need to know for Trek is in here. So I invite you as couples, moms and pops, to go through this together. Prayerfully consider what's given, and prayerfully consider what your role is. And as you go through this, just write down thoughts and impressions that come to you. I bear testimony that each of you have been called and assigned as moms and pas by revelation. And as we have gone through this process, I've seen the hand of the Lord go through and work with our stake leaders and bishops as these callings and assignments have been extended. So have confidence and have faith that you can do this. It's going to be hard. I remember when my wife and I were moms and pas, I'd never been on Trek. We didn't do this up where I grew up, and we had no idea what to expect. But as we worked together and prepared ourselves and received the youth that were assigned to us, it worked out. And we had youth that were absolutely amazing, and they were go-getters. Two of the boys in our family had been on Trek 4 years prior. They had just graduated from high school, and they were amazing, and it was fun to watch them just do their thing. We had a couple really young people, and one of them didn't want to be there, and he was a challenge. And I remember one of my memories of Trek is just watching him just head over this mountain, and I thought, I hope he comes back. I really did not know how to connect with him, but over time our whole family connected with him, and everyone started watching out for him, and it was a great experience. So trust the Lord, trust that He's going to help you with this. And maybe I'll mention, I was going to talk about this at the end of my little discussion here, but we have met how many times already? With 4 times, 2 hours each time. We have met with the Stake Young Men's and Young Women's Presidency with President Drummond, and we have been prayerfully assigning youth to your families. And I think we may be just a little over halfway done. And it's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. But we go through each name, and we ask who knows this particular youth. And we are doing the very best we can to assign each of these youth to the families where they need to be. And we take it very seriously, and we have been praying about this, and it gets harder now that we have brothers and sisters already in that family, and we're just making sure that it's going to be a good fit. And we know that it's not going to be perfect. We know that there's going to be some things that may pop up, and you're going to wonder, why is this kid in my family? Trust the process, trust the Lord. There will be reasons that come out. And it may not be that first night at Trek. It may not be until a week or two later, but you will see that you have the people that the Lord wants you to have. As I went through this little section, I just highlighted a few things that I wanted to just quickly talk about. On page 34, and I'm not going to go through this. I know you're all bright, intelligent people. You'll figure this out. And if you have any questions as you and each other go through this, text us, email us, let us know how we can help. But on page 34, underneath your responsibilities, it says, love your Trek family and create unity. And I wrote down, love them. And I remember this, right after we got through Trek, our real kids had a hard time distinguishing between when we were talking about them or talking about our Trek kids. And because we loved our youth that had been assigned to us so much. And we talked about them all the time afterwards. And I remember, I think it was Spencer that was talking about, so are you talking about us or are you talking about the Trek kids? And they became an extension of our real family. So love them. Guide your family through shared leadership. Just use the youth. You don't have to do everything. Let them help. Now, as you see, when we turn some time over to our committee chair people, this Trek's different than any other that we've been on. When we go up to Deseret Land and Livestock, there was a lot more responsibility on you as moms and pops. The food committee's taking care of everything. You don't need to cook. You don't need to find Dutch ovens. It's going to be so much easier this go around. And so we're doing that because we don't want you to have to worry about all these little things. We want you to worry about the youth that you have in your family. So let them help and give them responsibilities. It'll bring your family closer together. On page 35, your preparation there. Personal, spiritual preparation. These are things that hopefully you're already doing in your lives. But go through this list and make sure that you're preparing yourself spiritually. I think the bottom line is you need to have the Spirit with you. And these things here will help you have the Spirit with you. But the Spirit be with you as you prepare, and the Spirit be with you as you're on trek. So do the things that you need to have the Spirit with you as a couple. The physical preparation, again, things that you need to be doing right now, just get in shape. You're gonna have plenty to worry about. Get your shoes broken in. You want to take care of the youth. You don't want to be one of the ones that constantly, I can't walk any further, I've got 50 blisters on my left foot. The blisters are gonna happen, but the more you do right now to prepare, get your shoes broken in, the better off you're gonna be. And you'll be in a better position to help lift and serve the members of your family. Page 36. I wanted to hit this kind of hard. Remember this is underneath family preparation. Remember, all families do not need to be the same. Each family will have its own personality and will develop at its own pace. Have high expectations for your family members. Explain to them the importance of working together as a family in order to invite the Spirit, so they will have the opportunity to have a positive experience and invite the Spirit in the midst of, and into their midst while on trek. So it's going to be just like your own family. The more unified you are, the more efforts you make to love and serve one another, the greater portion of the Spirit you'll have on trek and within your own family. So work to be unified, and don't compare your family to others. There's going to be some families, I'm sure, that their kids are already going to know each other. They're going to click a little quicker than maybe your family will. It's all right. All these things will work out. Just keep trying, keep praying, and opportunities will present themselves while you're on trek that will bring your family together. But don't compare yourself and go, oh my gosh, the Smiths, look how well everyone's getting along, everyone's helping out. Don't do that. You'll drive yourself crazy. Take opportunities throughout the trek to understand the thoughts, feelings, and personalities of each individual family member. And I wrote down, it's easy to spend time with the outgoing and positive youth. It's really easy to just gravitate, and you'll feel gravitated to those that are talking to you, that are helping out, that are a little bit more positive. That's totally normal. But take time and pray for the ones that are a little bit more quiet. I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee it, but there's a high chance you're gonna have some youth in your family that probably didn't want to come in the first place. And they may not have the best attitudes. That's okay. You're gonna walk the you-know-what out of them, and they'll come around. The more they walk, I think just pushing that handcart together, it's a unifying experience, and they will grow closer together, and they'll start being a little bit more open. Take opportunities to share your feelings and personalities with family members, individually and collectively. I think we all need to be genuine. We don't need to be someone that we're not. We don't need to try to be this amazing ma and pa. The Lord's called you for a reason, and as you just be your best self, the Spirit will be with you, and you'll be able to impact the lives of these youth. Just be your best and do your best. There's a lot of ideas about how to have these reflection and contemplation moments. Just read through those and prayerfully consider what you think will work best for you as a mom and pop. Brother Holmgren will talk a little bit about some time that you'll have to do these things, but just take time to talk with your youth, to explain to them just different things that are happening, and ask them to share their feelings. We've got some awesome journals that they've put together. There'll be time where they can write their feelings down and just ponder about what's happening. Those will be instances when they'll feel the Spirit, and hopefully they'll look back on these moments later on and really appreciate what they learned. All right, on page 39, Rules of the Road. I think the big thing here is you need to make sure that your family members are drinking water. When we've been up at Deseret Land and Livestock, we haven't really had to worry about the heat in the past. But where we're going to be down in Utah Valley at a lower elevation, as I was talking to Nathan Starr, who's over the medical committee, their biggest concern is dehydration and heat issues. So it's your responsibility to make sure that they are drinking. And we'll stop periodically to make sure that everyone's drinking, but just watch out for people. We've experienced in the past that the young women particularly do not like to drink water because they don't want to use the porta potties. And so they'd rather just not drink to go in there. The missionaries have assured us that these are the cleanest porta potties in the entire state. I haven't seen them, I'm taking their word for it, but they make sure that they're clean and usable because they know that people need to use them, and we want them to drink. So it's your responsibility to just make sure that everyone's drinking. How you do that is going to be completely up to you. There's a couple suggestions about handing out little tokens or whatever, pieces of string that they can redeem for a treat later. Whatever you think works best, but just make sure that they're drinking. And then right underneath that, the second biggest problem on Trek are the blisters. Now I've asked the medical committee to make a video that we'll send to all the parents, and they're working on that, but they'll go over all this stuff, and the parents can go over this with their youth before Trek. But just listen to your youth. If they are complaining about little hot spots on their feet, address those issues as soon as possible so it doesn't turn into a full-blown blister. And the medical committee will help you with that.
Brother Johansson?
Yes?
We were along the house last year, and my sister-in-law's read a few times, and she's like, I know this sounds weird, but duct tape your kids' feet. And I was like, really? None of us. Like, and I want to say duct tape, it's like around the heel, like, you know, the base of the foot. Not one of us. And then first the kids were like, no, I'm good, no, I'm okay. And then like halfway through, they're like, Sister Jonathan, will you duct tape my feet? And we had no problems. So I don't know.
You know, I've never heard of it doing before the symptoms happen, but it works. Usually people, when they start feeling that first little hot spot, they'll put the duct tape on, but you know, the duct tape works. And in here it talks about wearing a nylon sock and then put your regular socks over that. Whatever you think's best for you as a couple, but yeah, bring the duct tape and make sure that you've got this covered because it's miserable. You were on the medical committee last time. How many blisters did you guys treat? Not hundreds. Outside of the whole allergy issue when we had lunch, that was probably your biggest thing. So,
I think Walmart has all different colors of duct tape too.
that's true. Invest in some nice duct tape that everyone will want to use. But yeah, just listen to your youth. we're gonna have a great medical committee that will be close by. They're gonna be walking with us, and that's what they do. There's medical committee right there. They'll talk more about this later on, but just listen. Listen to your youth.
Eric, a little bit on the water. It's most important for us to hydrate in the morning, and so right after you have family prayer, make it a little game. Everybody guzzle their water bottle right after morning prayer with your family. If they get water in the morning, it's the most important time to do that.
Okay. And whatever you can do, and you need to stay hydrated too. You need to be feeling well. So make sure that they're doing that. Thanks, Travis. And then just one other thing, walking with the hand cart down towards the bottom, page 39. Just make sure that when the pullers are out front, when they stop, they need to let everyone else know that they're stopping or they're going to get run over. And so they'll go over all the handcart stuff at the orientation we had the morning of Trek. But that's kind of a big one. I don't think we have the pot gut holes. Those of you who've been up at Desert Land Livestock, they have these huge holes right along the trail. And I'm glad I didn't see any of those when we were down there, but those were a little bit of a mess. We were really worried people would step into it, the pushers. And we had the people up front call one way or the other, pothole on the left or right, so that people weren't breaking their ankles. I think our biggest issue down here is going to be the sand. It's very, very sandy. It's right there on the shores of Utah Lake. And so it's going to be dusty, and I think it's going to be a different kind of challenge than what we've had before. On page 40, campground etiquette, respect quiet hours and be considerate of your neighbors. I don't think we have a problem with this. I think everyone's going to be really tired when it's time to go to bed, but there will be some really tired people, so just make sure that your family is quiet and respectful of the sleep of others. And then under keep your family together, I just highlighted family ties are strengthened when family members work closely together throughout the trek. As a mom, pa, as a company captain, it's your responsibility to be with your family or your company. You may have great friends in other companies, but we really want you while we're trekking and while we're doing family activities to stay with your family and just help build the unity within your family. And I think that's all I have from here. Just a couple other thoughts I had. Begin now to pray for your families. Even though you don't know who they're going to be, pray for them. And pray that the Spirit will be with them. And seek to have the Holy Spirit, as I mentioned. Pray for the gifts of the Spirit now. Pray for faith, hope, and charity. Pray for discernment. Elder Bednar defined discernment as seeing with your spiritual eyes and hearing with your spiritual ears. And that will help you see the good, he said, in others. And you'll need that. You'll need to know what their needs are. You'll need to be able to see the good in these young people. And that will help you as you work with them. Work on this together. Both of you will have the Spirit work through you. Go through the chapter together, like I said, and prayerfully discuss the best way you can approach this together as a couple. Now, are there any questions? Please.
I did about the family name and flag.
Yes.
I saw that. Is that something we do as mom probably before?
Are you going to address that? I'll hit on that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. You'll do that first.
Are you encouraging the youth to bring a refillable water flask or?
Yeah. So each hand cart you'll have, you are to bring 2 5-gallon water coolers. And the missionaries will supply the water and the ice every morning. But you'll fill those up before you head out. And the youth they'll need to bring a refillable. And when we stop, you'll have those coolers. There's a little thing on the back of the hand cart we'll show you, but you'll have your cooler bungee corded to this little plank that comes out. And water will be available at all times.
And you said 2 of those per cart?
Yeah.
Is there a list of items that we are responsible to bring in here?
Yes, at the back. So there's packing for the trek, and then it's everybody's stuff, and then on the very back is your packing list from on top. And then on the tarp there, I personally feel the bigger the tarp, the better. And we've got a hand cart here, and we want to thank the cameras for going down and bringing up the hand cart. We're going to try our best to make a little shade show you how to do that. But as we stop for lunch and things like that, one of the issues, there's no shade down there. There's just no shade. And so the best way to do this, and we only brought up one hand cart, but you'll just put 2 hand carts together like this, tilt them up, and then just put your tarp over the top. And so really, the bigger the tarp, the better. While we're trekking, you'll want the tarp over all your stuff on the hand cart because it's gonna be really dusty. And that'll help keep the dust off of everything. But once we stop to eat, you can just put those together, those of you in your companies, and then just put the tarps over the top. Please.
When are you planning to have families set, so that we can reach out to you prior?
Right now, we're planning on, you'll find out probably what would you think of the night before or the morning of, I think the morning of.
I don't know when we'll give you the names, but the kids won't know until we get there. So you will
So-
need to reach out to them.
The way it's going, would probably be just before. It's taking a lot longer than I thought, but yeah, we'll let you know when we have those ready for you. Please.
Big brothers to each family, or?
Where are we with the big brothers right now? I know that they're being called.
Most of them have been assigned,
Okay.
not assigned to families, but.
No, they
To companies or?
they'll
but
be
we'll
assigned
assign them to families.
To families, yeah.
So each of you will have a big brother who will help you. It'll be an adult. to help. Yes.
I don't know if this is impacting somewhere, but what do we do if there's like a torrential downpour, like it's just pouring rain?
That's why you need to start praying right now.
Actually, that might be really nice.
Oh, Jesus, Rob.
It'll be plus
6 inches of mud and get pulled your car up.
You know, yeah, we'll just have to deal with
Go
it.
for it.
Yeah, we're not gonna, there's really no cover, so we'll just have to kind of gauge the situation as we go.
Since we're rolling with a figure 8.
Go ahead, Karen.
We had a torrential downpour on the very first truck I went on. I think, Danielle, you might have even been on that one too, do you remember? And the first, I mean, they were just drowned rats, but by the second night, they figured this out. And so they had all the companies got together with their tarps, and it was amazing to see this group of companies with all their tarps together covering their companies. So you'll figure it out as you go, but the youth, they're pretty ingenious on how to handle the rain.
Yeah, I'd rather have heat than rain, but that's me. And just seeing how sandy everything is, it'll be a mess. Okay, another question.
Sorry, since we're figure 8, do we set up our camp once, and are you gonna make us take it down?
It's actually 2 different spots.
Oh, there are 2 different, okay.
So we'll go out, have lunch, come back, and then we'll camp there that one night. The next campsite's not too far, it's like a half a mile away, but it will be a different one. And base camp will take everything about all our tents and our sleep bags, and they'll move that for you. On the handcart, it'll just be your buckets, the things you need while you're out there. Base camp, they're gonna take care of all that stuff while we're out. And they and the food committee will bring lunch out to us. So lunch is kind of the farthest point. And then we'll eat, and then we'll make our way back for dinner and camp. Any other questions? These are great questions, thanks. All right, so I just want to end with my testimony. That this will be one of the just amazing experiences of your lives. And hopefully the people that have already done this will back me up on this, but it's an amazing experience. It's fun to be with youth. It's fun to be with youth that you don't know. And I remember sitting there when we were trying to decide the name of our family and design our family flag, and I just kept thinking, how am I gonna get to know all these youth? It happens. And we had a little Trek reunion a couple weeks afterwards, had all of our Trek family over for just an evening together. And it's an amazing experience how everything works out. The Lord wants you participating. He wants you out there, and you will be blessed. But I know that this is important to the Lord. It's amazing how these things do work together. It's amazing how much money the Lord is willing to spend on Trek, but He knows it's important. The pioneers, our ancestors, whether they are pioneers or not, made some huge sacrifices for us to be where we're at today. And I don't think our Heavenly Father wants us to ever forget the sacrifices that they made. And this is an excellent opportunity for us to remember what they've done and to to basically be willing to make our own sacrifices for the gospel and for each other. I know that the Lord lives and that He will be with you through His Holy Spirit as you seek to magnify this calling and assignment. And I leave that with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we'll go ahead and turn some time over to Corey.
You guys all thought I wore this because I like pioneer clothes. That's not the reason. So, last night, I had a dream, nightmare, whatever. I stood up here to talk to you guys, everybody was talking, nobody was listening to me, and I ran out of the room crying. That's not going to happen, first of all. But also, we all have our own fears, right? We're all coming into this with some kind of fear, and they're probably all different. I love how Alex Dillon talked in state conference about when she went, she was a little shy, and social was her fear. It might be physical, you're worried about walking all that way. It might be the spiritual. We all have different things that we're worried about. Maybe it's wearing pioneer clothes. That could be a real fear. It doesn't matter what your fear is. I promise you your fear is greater than the reality of how it's really gonna be. As long as you guys don't make me run out of here crying. Okay. So, this is a skirt that my mother-in-law made. Isn't it cute? But most of what I bought, I got at DI. This shirt I found at DI, and I've been on a few treks, so it was like 9 years ago about this. And also a bonnet that my mother-in-law had. So I kind of like bonnets. I think it gives us a real legit look, right? So if you have a bonnet, great, wear it. The point of the bonnet is to keep the sun off of you, and it really does help, and to cover up your nappy hair. That works too. And this is a sun hat that I found. Most of the girls like to wear sun hats. So this one had like a cute little band on it. You're not gonna care about the cute little decoration. You need something to hold it onto your head. So my daughter wore this one and pulled the thing off and tied it around her head because it gets windy. And the most important thing if you wear a sun hat is to have one that you can cinch onto your head because it'll go flying and you'll never have it again. And you want the hat. So, and this is Eric's hat. Okay. Another shirt that I got, let's see, this one I got at Old Navy.
Corey?
You can find,
They
yeah.
can't, and they don't have to have bonnets.
No,
right?
you don't have to have a bonnet or a sun hat, but you have to have something.
Yeah, they should have something.
And, I mean, the men wanna wear a bonnet, that's fine. I have extras, come talk to me. So this shirt I got at, Old Navy. You can get clearance stuff right now, but most everything else, I just found at DI. So, don't be shy. DI's got some great stuff, okay? But one thing that you really want is an apron. Not for this, but you're gonna want it to hold your water bottle and your sunblock and your chapstick and everything else. You want an apron, that's right. And the one thing I didn't wear is my bloomers. And I'm not gonna show you my bloomers anyways, but they recommend having bloomers, so you can have the legit Pioneer kind, which I don't have, but you can also cut off scrubs or old sweats. When I went to Desert Landings Livestock, I just wore leggings, but it's gonna be a little warm. So leggings might not be the best option. So an old pair of scrubs, just cut off, is great. Now shoes, did you wanna say something? Who had their hand up? Oh.
I was gonna say, I work at a scrub store, I have like a lot of them, they're $3 and.
Oh, awesome. And scrubs are a great option, so. Okay, shoes, I think, are the most important part. Now, something different about this trek is that it's really sandy, and so you don't want shoes that are meshy, like everybody has, right? All of the Nikes, they're just made of pure mesh, and if you wear those, the sand is gonna get in your shoes and rub and cause blisters. So, find some shoes. I'm wearing my cute shoes. Yes, do I look ridiculous? Yes, I do, and it's okay, because what matters is that my feet are comfortable. And my wool socks. I'm also wearing my wool socks. So these shoes, I got at Big 5 for $18. And they have a little bit of mesh, but it's like a covered thick mesh, because it's impossible to find shoes without mesh, unless you go like the full-on hiking shoes, which I don't think are really comfortable. So I've started walking in my shoes, taking my kid with me, and he's already got blisters on his feet. So this is why we start walking right now, because you've got to get your shoes worn in. Everybody, every youth, and I have a 17-year-old who's going and hasn't walked once. So, you know what? She might be seeing the medical team. And that's her choice, but they all think, you know, I'm active. I am on the track team. I do whatever. But you still have to walk. It's different, I promise you. You've got to walk. You've got to have your shoes and get them broken in. It makes all the difference. Does anybody have questions about clothes? Yeah.
Just really quick, for the men, just take an old white shirt and cut the collar off. And there you go. You don't have to go Old Navy. Most of you got some old white shirts, I'm sure, just laying around, but yeah, just hack your collar off. You'll look like me, it's nice.
And you can have it so much easier. Khaki pants and a white shirt, done. You don't get to wear the cute colors that we do. Any questions about clothes?
Like with the water bottles, do you hang them on like a?
So you can do a carabiner on their belt.
Is that easier?
I would always just put it in my pocket.
It's easier to throw it in the pocket.
Or you can put it on the hand cart.
You can hook them onto that.
Oh, okay.
I think it's easier, I didn't wanna walk with mine banging
Yeah,
on my
it
leg the whole
hurt.
time, so I just stuck mine on the hand cart.
We just, we tied
Yeah,
ropes.
tied a rope across
And
and
then
then
they
tacked
would
them on.
take care of you, like, and then they could just strap
Hang
it
it on,
on. Because,
Yeah. The thing, I was thinking carrying a water bottle.
Yeah.
I said a couple recommendations. Sunglasses, wear sunglasses. They're a must. And then, do you see how Corey's skirt is not all the way down? You don't want them up all the way down because you'll step on that every time you push the hand cart. So off the ground so that you can.
Especially if you're pushing, and you're pushing and your skirt's long, that's the
And yeah, it looks a little silly with my shoes and my socks, but it's okay. We're all gonna look silly together, right? Okay, any other questions?
So
Sunglasses.
Sorry.
Sunglasses are important. Yeah, go ahead.
With the water bottles, we're supposed to bring our own water bottles, not just like a water bottle that they hand out, right?
Yes, everybody will bring their own refillable bottle.
Okay.
Okay, all right, one more thing I want to mention is, are you all following the Instagram? Have you seen the blog? So get on the blog spot and you can get to it from the Instagram link, and have you got links to all of them?
I think so, I
Blog.
think they were in one of those first emails, so.
So we have a blog, it's a really great resource, it has all of this stuff on it, it's got the packing list, it's got a clothing list, it's got links to find your pioneers. I got on there and it's like, it takes you to LDS.org and puts your name in and shows you the list of your pioneers that walk across the plains. It's a great resource for you, for the kids, to get involved. It has a list of handcart pioneer stories. It's got really great things on there. There's also a tab called the Trail of Faith Award. And it's something that you guys can do and the youth can do to help you prepare for the trek. It's a list of talks you can read and things that you can do to prepare physically and spiritually and mentally to get ready for the trek. So we encourage you guys to look into that and do that. It's a great way to help you get prepared. I also encourage you to get to know your own pioneer ancestry. There is a reason that we do this. There's a lot of reasons that we do this, but one of them is to connect ourselves to our pioneer ancestry. And I promise you, they are aware of you, and we just need to reach out and become aware of them. And there is a great power in knowing our pioneer ancestors. And I promise you, you will feel their spirit as you walk for them. So get to know their stories so you can share them with the youth in your family and with your own families. I promise you it will make a difference. I'm so grateful for the Pioneer Trek. I love this. That's why we're here. Not because we're good, not because we know what we're doing. So I'm sorry if that scares you, because we don't know what we're doing. But we do love the Lord, and we do love our pioneers, and we love the youth of this state. And I promise you it's going to be a great experience. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Yeah.
What about water shoes? Do they need this and all?
They prefer that your shoes are waterproof,
For that
but
activity?
I don't think most of us are. So if they get wet, whatever. But there is one day where we are doing a water, what do they call it? Crossing, or water crossing, and they will get wet. So if they want to bring a pair of water shoes that they can just change into, that's great, or they can just get their shoes wet. It's like a water reenactment. It's really cool.
That water reenactment is seriously just at the end, and so I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
Okay.
All right, I'm Josh Holmgren, and my wife Alicia and I were called last August to be in charge of all the activities for Trek. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of time, a lot of work. We spent a ton of time with the Johansons planning everything. It's been great working with them, and I think we've got a great Trek plan. Just wanted to go over one final activity that we have planned before Trek. So on May 15th, we're gonna have a temple walk activity where we're gonna start up at the west side of Walker Mountain Temple, We're gonna walk down 40th West, go down 118 to the 118th building. It's all downhill, it's gonna be nice. We're gonna have people along the way helping with traffic stops and such, but we'll have a short program when we get to the church. We got some great speakers lined up, and it'll be a fun little activity. We're gonna have all the youth come from the stake, even the Beehives and Beacons, so they can have an opportunity to enjoy some of this Trek-related activity. So just be aware of that. We'd love to have you guys be there on the 15th. I think we're gonna start at 6:30 up at the temple. So I wanted to go through kind of, not get too into the weeds, but go through the basic flow of the schedule for Trek. So I think in one of the emails that Eric sent out, there was a sample itinerary that the Mosita folks had put together. It's kind of the recommended optional use of the Trek and the schedule. We've changed a couple things from what they suggested. We're still kind of finalizing every little detail. We'll probably send you the more detailed itinerary right before when we have everything finalized. But if you've noticed, Mosita has done an amazing job really planning so many things for us. And as we've met numerous times and as we've talked as leadership, we really want to make sure this Trek is as simple as it can be, and we want to focus time and energy on having moments with our youth, letting the youth have moments with themselves, and having some free time, have some solo time, and really enjoy Trek. We don't want to over plan. I know I've been on this is my 5th Trek, and you can over plan Trek, and there's too much going on. You never have a chance to relax and just enjoy the experience for what it is. So we've tried to build in some times to do that. So the plan will be that we'll have a drop off of all the supplies Sunday evening. We haven't picked a specific time, but probably 5 or 6 Sunday before, so June 9th. What you'll do is you'll bring your bucket with your supplies that are mentioned in the handbook about what to supply in your bucket, your sleeping bag, the tents, the base camp will be loading all that stuff up in trailers Sunday night. The kids will each get assigned their company color. There's 7 different companies, and so they'll be assigned a company color. So they will know Sunday night the company they're in. They won't know their specific family, but that will allow the base camp to organize all of the buckets by color, by company, so that when they go down Monday morning early, they'll be able to kind of separate by company, and so when we all get there, it'll be easier to organize things. So that'll be Sunday night. We have a little packet of items that each youth will get. I think we're gonna defer that to Monday morning when we get to the site. With the Moz and Paz, we'll give you a little packet. It'll include a handkerchief with your company color, a journal that we have for each of the kids. It'll have a wristband, like a leather bracelet that the kids will each get for Trek, and some other little supplies. We'll do that when we get there as opposed to Sunday night, so the kids don't forget it or don't need to bring it. So that happens. So that's Sunday night. Any questions about Sunday night before? And just be a drop off of everything, so that Monday morning we're ready to go. So Monday, the plan is that we're going to meet here at 6:30. Because our group is so huge, we're planning on anywhere from 320 to 350 kids. There's about 150 other people, so it's about 500 people total on our Trek. Yeah.
How many kids is to be in each family?
Depending on what the final number is, but it'll probably be 7 to 9 kids in the family. So there's smaller families than maybe other treks that we've been on, but I think that's going to provide an opportunity for each kid to have some really good one-on-one time with the mom and pa and get to know them really well. So because our group's so big, the missionary's gonna come here to the Stake Center and do the initial orientation. It's nothing too crazy complicated. It's basically just handcart safety, reviewing things you guys already know, but just give the youth a chance to hear from them. We'll meet in the chapel / cultural hall. We'll do a little presentation beforehand at 6:30. We will have some breakfast items there for the kids, muffins. What else is planned for food wise? I don't know. We'll have things for them to eat. You know, the parfait, that's right. Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So they can come if they want to eat before as well. That's fine. Some kids like to eat breakfast, but we will have food here for them Monday morning. Everyone will need to pack their own lunch for Monday. You'll bring that with you, and you'll eat that for lunch Monday. We won't have a lunch prepared by the food committee on Monday. So the orientation will go around 7:30 or so, maybe 7:15. We'll We'll gather everyone up to leave from Waseda. Fortunately, it's only about an hour away. You just head straight to Redwood Road, west side of Utah Lake, and you get there. It's just north of Alberta. If anyone's been down there, there's a turnoff. So it's nice, it's not too far away. The way we're organizing the youth getting down there is we're gonna pre-plan that with the wards will be responsible to get their youth to the trek site. We're not gonna try to do it by families because the kids won't find out who their family is until they get to Waseda Monday morning. So each ward has a transportation person involved to organize all that. So each ward is organizing getting their youth there Monday morning. Once we arrive, again, everything will be organized by company. We have huge flags that we're creating by company, so you'll know where to go. Once you get to your company flag area, we'll be organizing the families. You guys will all be there as miles and miles waiting, and you'll, not exactly sure how we're gonna get all the kids in your family, but we'll all be there helping get families together. At that time, we'll give you a family flag that we're creating that's pretty good size. It's like 4 feet by 3 feet, and we're gonna give you some markers and things. So one thing to think about is beforehand, when I went the last couple of times, we didn't really think about this before, but if you want to think about a potential family name for your family or some options or design, just have some ideas beforehand. I know my family last time, we kind of got stuck in the mud for about an hour, like, what's her family name? And so to save some time, maybe have some ideas beforehand. So when you get there, depending on when you actually depart on the trail, you'll have some time to create that family flag together, and we'll have all the supplies there for you to do that. And then there's a little post on the back of your hand cart where you'll just slip the flag on, and it'll just be on the back of your cart the whole time. So the plan is to leave somewhere around 10:15 to go out on the trail. They do a good job of having stops along the way for water and such. I think this first stretch is about 2.5 miles. It's probably the longest stretch of walking without really having a specified stop. The first day in total, it's gonna be about 8 miles walk. It's the longest walk day of the trek. And so just be prepared for that. We'll leave around 10:15. Lunch will be around 1 o'clock or so. Again, bring a sack lunch. Everyone needs to bring their own sack lunch for that meal. And then we'll kind of do a loop and come back around and hope to arrive at the camp spot around 4:30. You'll need to set up your tents. The plan is to have a tent for the boys, a tent for the girls, and if there's enough, you'll probably have a tent for you, and your couple will have your own tent for your spouse. You'll need to set up camp, and then we will have a little bit of time when you get there on Monday just to kind of settle in. We're not planning any direct activities. Dinner will be probably around 6 after we get there. After dinner, we plan to have a hoedown. So we did a hoedown activity kind of as a precursor to what we'll do on trek. So Monday night we'll have a hoedown around 7:30. It should be a really fun activity. Hopefully we'll have really good participation and the kids can quickly get through I don't want to dance because it happened on the hoedown. After a while, everyone, I think, had a really good time. That'll go until about dark, and then after that, it's kind of family time. You guys can maybe plan some time with your kids to do something around the fire. Each camp spot will have fire pits. They do allow us to have fires, but they also have sort of the first right of refusal to say no fires. Because we're going so early in June, it is very possible we will have fires. I know last year, in the middle summer months, they didn't have them, but I think early on they did. So what's it, any update on that?
So, the email I got from her, did you?
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
Last year, they quit having fires in the middle of June because it was so dry. So we'll just have to see how things go.
It's pretty green down there right now. We were down there yesterday. It's a different world from when we went down last fall. It's very green. The fields are growing. They were mowing the grass in the area where base camp will be. So
Awesome.
So will each family have a fire or company?
How was that set up?
So,
I got it down because
That would be a lot.
the email I got from Sister Pingle yesterday said no individual family fires. We'll have one big fire for the activities that night, but they don't want us to have 42 fires.
So you'll have a little bit of time Monday night, It won't be too packed. So lights out is typically at 10 p.m. The next day, we'll have wake up call around 7:30. Breakfast will be at 8. There will be a little bit of time Tuesday morning to kind of spend time with your family. One thing that's another good idea, of those that have been on Trek as mom and pa, you know, think of some games you can play that you don't have to have any supplies for, just, you know, signs or some game that you can do sitting around in your buckets. Those are really good things to do to pass time, either when you're at stops along the trail or in the mornings or at night, just good things to create some family bonding.
And while you're walking too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's things you can do there. So those are some ideas you can be thinking about beforehand to help out. So Monday morning or Tuesday morning will be a good time to have like a family devotional. Again, after breakfast, you'll definitely have time. We don't plan to leave until around 9:30 on Tuesday morning. And then we'll be back out on the trail. It's not as long of a day. It's about 6.5 miles Tuesday. We'll have lunch, same thing, around 1. And we'll actually probably be back to the camp closer to like 3:30 that afternoon. So same thing, we'll get to camp. We may have some Pioneer games that kids can play while you guys get there, get settled in. We'll have a dinner a little bit earlier that night, around 5 or 5:30. And then the plan Tuesday night is that we'll have a combined steak devotional fireside. And then once we're done with that, we'll invite families to go back together and have like an individual family testimony meeting. So the combined fireside won't be like a testimony meeting at the stake level. We'll have some music and some activities during the devotional, and then as families, you'll go back and have your own individual testimony meeting. And again, you'll have some free time at that time with your kids. Day 3 is an earlier day. We plan to get up at 6, breakfast at 7. Again, you can have planned for a little family devotional Wednesday morning before breakfast. And then around 8 o'clock we'll leave, go out 2 miles, and then at around 10:30 we'll prepare for the women's pole. So that'll be Tuesday morning. And the missionaries will handle most of the process for that. We'll do some stuff before we leave regarding getting the men and the women together, having kind of a spiritual message before we head out that day. And then the women's pole will be at 10:30. If you've read about this in the handbook, it's a little bit of a different women's pole. It's not climbing up a rocky hill or going over a mountain. They've kind of ground up some of the sand to make it difficult to walk through. So they ask every girl has to have a handkerchief and sunglasses and a hat because it's really dusty. And so it's kind of just like pulling through really thick sand for the women's pole. So the men will line the sides and the women will walk through the middle, as you've experienced in the past if you have a women's pole. After that, we're actually pretty close to where we'll do a reenactment of the river crossing. This is right before the very end of the trek. There's not a river there. They've kind of created a river to where they have the youth. The boys will carry the women across the water. We'll have music playing. It's going to be pretty cool. A pretty cool finish to trek. But we'll take each of the women across the river, and then literally like half a mile or less is where the trek ends that day. So we'll have Chick-fil-A sandwiches for everybody at the end, and then we'll just basically clean up the hand cars, pack up, and head home. So they kind of estimate around 2:30 or so is when we'll be done on Wednesday. So kind of 2.5 days trek. Any questions? Again, this is kind of a general plan, maybe some specific time changes based on any plan we're doing, but that's kind of the general plan for the schedule.
Will we get some kind of itinerary that has all this information?
Yes, like I said, we'll send this to you right before trek. We just want to get everything. We don't want to send you multiple iterations of it, so we just want to give you an idea of everything.
Then you said there will be a tent for the boys in each family and the girls in each family, and then the mom and pop brings their own tent.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the plan. We're counting up the number of tents right now within the stake. We're actually have to borrow some tents from the country crossing stake, and so we have all the kids in our stake. We have like twice as many kids. So we're gonna. So those are the bigger tents. Typically, the Kodiak is kind of 10-man tents that we're trying to get for all the youth. So they'll be able to fit. Like I said, you'll probably have at most 4 or 5 of each, girl, each boys, so they should be able to fit no problem in a 10-man tent.
So you don't want us to get tents from our spot master?
No, we're coordinating all that.
And who'll be setting those up? Will the kids be setting those
You
up?
Yeah, families will set those up, so, yeah, make sure the kids
We're
work.
setting up your own tents, Mike.
Okay, good.
Big brother is in charge of setting up the tent.
Good. And distributing treats.
Yeah, exactly.
What about bugs?
Yes.
Yeah. It'll be-
Out there.
A lot of it's gonna depend, when I talked to Brother Peter for a minute, and a lot of it's gonna just depend on water wise. Yeah, we are in a mosquito zone out there, if it continues to rain like this, we get puddled water. And you're also in an area where you're in open range. So a lot of it, they cut the hay and the alfalfa, but we still, what we saw, sheep.
Yeah, so you're gonna do
Didn't see any cows yesterday, but there are cows out there, but they're gonna be back off to the west of us, but yeah, anytime
Yeah,
you're
bring
on a farm,
tons of bugs
it
through.
attracts bugs.
Alright, good.
So, there's a guy's house over here that says that I have horses, they smell, they have flies. I can't remember his name, it was yeah, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, any other questions on the schedule? It's gonna be awesome. I love the way Messina set this trek up. Again, we're not spending hours and hours cooking and cleaning and trying to cram in all these activities right on time. What's that?
Some.
Behind the scenes, there'll be a lot going on, but for the youth, it'll be, and for you as mom and pop, less stressful from that perspective, so you can focus on your kids and just having a really fun, enjoyable time. So, looking forward to it. Okay. Kevin.
Well, first off, I wanna say that the Johansons, they may not think they know what they're doing, but they do. And when you said that, I thought about our very first meeting, when we just kinda looked at each other and went, oh, crap. So if it was inspired, I need to talk with Brother Drummond. So, how many first trek? How many is this first trek for you?
Wow.
That's pretty good. Second trek? Third? Fourth? Fifth? Awesome. So you can see we have a really good diverse group, okay? Base camp, the reason that President Drummond got base camp, got me and my wife to go with base camp is we knew when we got the phone call, we thought, oh man, let's trek here, and we were really worried about it. Because the last time we went, we were old, and now we're even older. And we made this mistake, we got a tent that we thought, oh, this is great, we can fit our air mattress in, but you know what you couldn't do in our tent? Stand up. Bad thing. So my recommendation to any moms and paws is if you can get a tent you can stand up in, life's a lot better. So this time we were offered the tent that's parked in my driveway because base camp doesn't move.
So we said yes,
So we
because we
said
were all
yes.
prepared to say, now what can we say to say no?
Yeah.
What are we gonna say?
Yeah, there's some excuses.
We had
So-
it, then you
so-
said we could bring our tent, okay. we're
So
there.
just to follow up on a few things to just kind of go through process. Transportation, each ward has a transportation director. Brother Beckstead is running all of my transportation things. Transportation to Trek is not gonna be in buses this year. Okay, each ward's gonna be responsible for getting their group to the site. It's being organized right now. We will have, I guarantee you that all of you guys that are driving down are gonna have kids with you. And my method for keeping track of cars that are staying and cars that are going is you're gonna get a bright colored piece of paper that you're just gonna put in your windshield. And when they park you down there, the people that have that colored paper in their windshield on their dashboard, they'll direct you guys to park. The rest of the people we need to move through there. It's people that drive down, and when you talk to your people that are driving, because they're gonna talk to you, make sure they understand this isn't get out, hug the kids, you know, kisses and loves and everything. It's open the doors, get out and go home. So, because we've got a lot of kids that we've got to get out, and they want to get them on the trail as quickly as possible, so we need to move that process as quickly as we can. When they drop their things off here and register Sunday night, all of their stuff will get duct tape or some kind of colored tag so they know which company they're in. Each company has a trailer. All of the stuff for each company will go in that designated trailer with the exception of their buckets. We're gonna put their buckets in a separate trailer because buckets go with them on the hand carts first day. So we're gonna put all the buckets in one trailer. When you guys are here during orientation, that trailer is gonna head for us down at Mosita. My wife and I will be there. We're leaving early Monday morning to be there. We'll segregate those buckets into companies so they'll have an easy time finding them. So that when you get there, there'll be a company flagged by a stack of buckets. That'll be where they're at, and the kids can gather them up as they're broken into families and go to their families. So we're gonna try and expedite that as quickly as we can. What else, hon?
Couple of things, so that's just for that first time. After that, you'll put those buckets in your company trailer. The other thing too, we do have, as Brother Holmgren mentioned, a big flag that'll have your company color on it. Sunday night, that company color will be by that trailer, so that they know exactly where the trailer is. But when you're out on the trail, what we'll do with those flags is while you guys are out trekking, we'll set up base camp, and those flags will be where your companies are going to camp for the night. So just know that, that's when you come in, you'll find, I'm sure your company captain will lead you, but you'll find where your flag is and set up your camp. So just know that, and whether or not we're gonna have your trailer by your company, I don't think so.
It's gonna
Probably
depend
not.
on numbers, but the trailers will be there. You're responsible to pick your stuff up at the trailer, set up your camps, and then you need to get it back to the trailer the next morning. That only happens twice, so it'll be really easy. Second time you have to do that is coming back here to the stake center, so. Just know that second morning, make sure you get all your stuff there, because we're gonna get those guys on the road as quickly as we can. Once again, we'll leave one trailer for buckets the day that we leave. So all the buckets will go in one trailer again, so that we can get them back. Yep.
I have a question on the buckets. I thought the buckets don't go on the hand cars.
No, they do.
Oh,
Well, they will. We're putting them in one trailer, so.
No. I just thought that I thought I heard you say that they didn't go on the hand cars.
No, they do.
No, I'm sorry, they do.
Yeah, that's why I'm putting them in one trailer, so that we can get them down there, get them stacked around the hand carts, and the kids can get them and they can get on the trail that day.
Just clarifying.
How do you want, I mean, I dropped kids off for check, but how do you want our sleeping bags and belongings
Sunday night.
packaged? I know you want them there Sunday night, but how do you want them bundled up in a garbage sack? And, I mean, what's your best?
That's usually what they do, in a garbage sack, so they don't get, because they're gonna get thrown in a trailer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's not a bad way, and it's good to have some identifier on them if they're gonna do that. Because what we'll do is we'll take that garbage bag and we'll mark that garbage bag as it goes in the green trailer.
Right.
Or it goes in the purple trailer.
Right.
So as long as they can handle keeping a garbage bag in one piece,
Yeah,
that's
you don't know
good.
your colors.
Yes.
So then you can duct tape and have.
Yes.
Yeah, when you arrive to drop off
You'll do
Sunday
that.
night, we'll give you your color, so you'll be able to mark it.
The kids will mark their stuff, and then they'll take it
So
to
you don't
them.
have all that stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
That
It'll
was
all
my
be there.
question.
Yes.
Are you letting the youth know this and like a temple walk, when are they
They'll
gonna
know
know?
when they register, because they'll have a list, Jane Smith is gonna be in company yellow.
No, how are they gonna know to pack their stuff in a garbage sack? Who's
Is that
letting the
something they're
youth
gonna be
know?
communicated to, or?
Yeah, we'll tell them.
Okay.
Or, it just depends, like Kevin and I, when our very first trek, or second, whatever it was, we got those, they'd ask us to get these great big bags from, I'm just telling you this, so it's not mandatory. When we went to Army Navy, got these great big huge bags, they fit everything in it. We could put our sleeping bags in it, and we could put any clothes and stuff. It's one
Yeah, they're like a
bag
big
zipped
duffel
up.
bag, they zip up, they have a handle
You
on
can
them.
do whatever you want that
They're
makes the most
awesome.
sense. for kids.
They're awesome, and they're not expensive, you can find them, I think you can even find them at Walmart and stuff.
Whatever.
But they'll fit a sleeping bag and all your stuff into one thing, and they're nice. They were great because we just threw it there and it had duct tape around the handle so we knew which color it was. So it worked out really well. Garbage bags, kids can destroy those pretty quick, so.
That's what I recommend. On the garbage bags, you double line the garbage sacks.
Yes.
And then bring a couple
Because they will
extra along in case one tears or something, you can replace it.
We'll have garbage bags there as well.
Okay, good.
The construction size ones are really big and
They're thicker
they're thick,
plastic.
so they can fit like boxes.
Anything else you can think of? Does anybody have any, I think Josh and everybody's hit a lot of the stuff that we're gonna talk about, So anything that you guys can think of, base camp does not move, so we will be set in the exact same place. You'll be camping out away from base camp, and all of the food preparation, everything is gonna happen there, and then it'll be moved out. It'll be moved out to where you guys are camping. So, yeah, we'll be busy washing and cleaning and preparing food, but, it'll be awesome. I thought of something as Eric was talking. Now, my mom has this little sign on her fridge that says, "We're heavenly beings having an earthly experience." And you have a great opportunity with your kids to bring that little piece of heaven here to them. Like I say, this is our 5th trek, and I've been amazed every time. I've walked on 2, and the other 2 I've been attached to base camp and having to move things. But I'm always amazed to watch these kids. They get thrown into a family that they stand 4 or 5 feet apart and look at each other and go, well, these aren't the kids I hang out with at school. And at the end of the first day, I look at them and they're kind of move in like this. At the end of the second day, they're like this. At the end of the third day, can't get them apart.
And I just have one little story to share, hope you don't mind. But our last trek, we were assigned to the branch. The branch is down in the other states, but Kevin served in the branch presidency there, and I was the women's president, and we had very few youth. I mean, 1 or 2 kids we were lucky to get out to church. So we went to trek, and I had 2 girls that were able to go, and one of those girls was not a member. And she came to Mutual. She loved coming to Mutual because it was just a small group. But she was a little bit of, she was being raised by her father. Her mother was a little strange. I don't want to get into all of that, but she had some issues of her own, some emotional issues. And so I was really concerned because she sometimes sabotaged relationships. That was kind of her, I'll sabotage before they hate me kind of thing. So I went to her ma and pa just before trek and said, Sam's going to be in your family. This and this might happen. And so that mom and pa were prepared. She absolutely loved trek, loved it. She had a great time. And at our sacrament meeting that next Sunday, she, who never comes to church, she got up and talked about her wonderful mom, pa, and great family. So I just want to tell you, you may have kids that aren't members or kids that have issues, and I think this was already touched on. I just wanted to share that story because she had the best experience because that mom and pa were prepared for her. And so thank you for all you do. But no, you might have somebody that may not be a member that may need a little bit of encouragement. And I just wanted to leave you with that little story.
So being veteran trekkers, and we're newbies, what are some things that maybe aren't on this very inclusive list, or things that we do's and don'ts? I mean, what are the things we're gonna miss that we can anticipate, or that you wish you would have had, or people are bringing and you wish they wouldn't have?
I would say bug spray and sunscreen. Because, and I think they're on that list.
Yeah.
But have you ever tried to sleep on a sunburned ear? And the bad thing is they both get sunburned, so you can never get comfortable on. So having had that problem, it's.
Oh yeah, I bring treats. Are you kidding?
Jolly Ranchers are good. Hard
You've
candy.
got to remember.
Ideas of games or games,
yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I know the kids know games, I mean, I'll look stuff up, if anybody else has great ideas, like, can we share that?
One thing I noticed is that we had
Go to Pioneer Games.
things planned.
I'm working on it right now.
I'm sorry, what is it?
I was just saying, I feel like I'm such a planner, so I was like, we're gonna have little devotionals and do things, and I recognized when we got there that the Spirit led us different ways, that we shared different things than we intended to share. And so I love the preparation beforehand that has been talked about, because I felt like once we were there, like things just seemed to deter, like just to go different directions, and we were led by the Spirit. And we had one kid that wore a sweatshirt the whole time, back in the corner, like it is, they all don't want to be there, the majority, but by the end, we still keep in contact with them. It is like best experience. It really is, like to hear, I mean, I just terrified when we got home. It is literally the best experience.
I think every family's different too. I was walking once and there was a family that, one of the kids was a boy sang. Brother Moskowitz, you guys were on that same trek. I mean, they were singing primary songs. I mean, he was just leading the singing, and it was just hilarious to look. But it was just this one family, which is really funny. And so every family's gonna be a little different.
Go with what the Spirit tells you.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, it's gonna be just
And
kind
then
of.
help the kids to recognize that, that's important, when you feel that, and you see them feel that, it's helpful too.
So this is a question and a suggestion, if you can. So last time, first, so did you say we are gonna put like, we're putting our tents in like the big U-Haul?
Yeah.
Well, don't go in
Yeah,
big
the
trailers.
trailer.
just part of the
So they
trailer.
had like a lot of room in that trailer, and when I got there, like after that whole one day of walking, I wanted to die sitting on those things without a back, and there's not like anything you can lean on. So I was wondering if we can bring like our own chairs, like the like those, that's the one thing, yeah, like a camp chair. I was like, oh my back hurts.
For those of us who are older, right?
I know, they're old. The kids can handle those things. That's like my suggestion, just lay down. I know, you can't, like, there's nothing to lean
If
in.
they're the ones that collapse in the
Yeah,
back, I
collapsible
don't think
chairs.
we would have any problem with that.
Yeah, and
Cause I agree with you, I'm the same thing, I'll be in the trailer, once
Yeah.
in a while, if you need me.
Yeah, that's like what I would suggest bringing. I just remember, I'm like, I just wanna lean on something.
So I think we're fine with that, if you wanna bring a camp chair, just make sure that, like I say, it gets the piece of tape on it. What we can't do is we can't have the kids do that.
No,
For
yeah.
ma's and pa's, I don't.
They can handle it.
Because I understand, as a back surgery guy, I understand you need that, you need to be able to lean back, so I don't think that would be a problem at all.
Yeah, bring it. Bring it Sunday night.
Base camp, we do have one medical person at base camp, she's an ER nurse, so just know that we'll have medical people out on the trail, but we will have somebody at base camp as well.
I have a question with that. Are we stepping out of, our comfort, and then isolating ourselves from them? I mean, aren't we supposed to be in their shoes as well? I mean, we're gonna suffer as well, you know, why do we get these comforts? I've got back problems, but I'd still rather not isolate myself. Cause I know that as soon as you have a chair at a camp, those kids are gonna wanna,
We all know what, they're on their hands and they've got problems. We have the ability to
Chairs will be at base camp if you aren't gonna sit.
I see what you're saying, Brian. I leave it up to you, and if you need it, and it's a necessary thing, then bring it.
We appreciate you being out there. We know this is a sacrifice, and if you need a chair, by all means, bring it. But I think what you're saying about the unity and things like that, I think that's a good point too. So I'll leave it up to you, and do what you think is best.
I want to add that you can add a pad to the top of your bucket. There are things on Pinterest that will show you how to do that, or you can buy like an ice fishing thing to put on top of your bucket that is padded. So that helps a lot too. And I just wanted to address the question that you asked on things you wish you knew. For me, I feel like just over prepare. Google games and icebreakers and just come with a list of all these different things. And to me, it's kind of like our Come Follow Me curriculum. You just have this huge arsenal, and then you follow the Spirit. And just kind of have that backpack of things ready to go, and just throw it out there. You can have a great moment. And follow the Spirit when you have your family devotionals. There'll be a time where the kids have all prepared and should all have an ancestor that they're walking for. Try to ask questions, and it kind of in the packet it has some ideas of some open-ended questions, and give them some time to clean and to try to interact. We had, as we were walking, we came up with some games, and we would do like the ABC games, and we would all say, I'm going on a trip, and I'm taking an apple, you know. All the stupid games you play with your kids on road trips. Anything you can think of to kind of break the ice and get them talking to each other.
All right, while Nathan Starr, our medical committee chairperson's setting things up, I just want to briefly talk about food. I don't have all the answers. The Andersons have done an amazing job. They've got the menus all put together. One of the things we're doing is we assigned a youth to families is we're trying to keep all the kids with dietary concerns together and make it easier on that family. So hopefully you won't have to worry about that in general. But the food's going to be really, really good. We have the state youth committee, the boy and girl from each ward junior year that serve on that. We had them kind of help out with the menu. They filled out a survey and they helped plan the menu. It's going to be really good.
I know we're having a barbecue the first night, like hamburgers and hot dogs. We're having Cafe Rio the second night. We're going to be fed well. I think we're probably going to have Subway sandwiches one day for lunch. They do not want us to suffer. That is the most important thing. They want us to be happy. And every morning they're going to give us a bag of treats that we can share with the kids along the way. We're going to have candy. We're going to be okay.
So don't worry about it.
This won't be the trip that you have a biscuit and you got to kill your dinner, all right?
You are
This is
welcome to bring extra candy if you want to, but you shouldn't really need it. They do want us to bring a little cooler, each mom and pop, so that you can put your treats in there for the day.
And you'll put the lunches of your youth in there on that first day as you go out.
So what size of cooler then?
Big enough for
Okay.
9 people's lunches, 10 people's lunches.
Okay.
Last time you brought like powdered Gatorade or maybe they gave it to
I think they are planning on those little packets for the individual water bottles.
And I can't believe you're giving us ice.
I know it's awesome.
That, warm water, what?
It'll be so much better with the ice.
I mean, Tammy Anderson even said one day we'll probably have popsicles. I mean, they're trying to find ways that they can make the kids happy. So we, as a committee, are taking care of everything. You guys, it's all on you to just go and have fun with your kids.
Everything? Awesome. So really, I don't feel like I'm in a position to answer specific questions about food, but do you have anything that we can relay back to the Andersons or the food committee?
So just real quick, we don't need to bring an item breakfast pack, so we don't need to bring a basket.
No. No mess kits. They're gonna have everything. The food will be provided, the paper products, everything will be there. So, again, a lot easier than before. Please.
Oh, I was just gonna, like, are we going to know if there's any, like, special needs before, like, to be prepared about?
Yeah. Well, we will approach the mas and pas of those who have
Okay.
concerns. We want you to be prepared for that. I don't know how soon you'll get that, but you will know ahead of time if there's any concerns like that. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Okay, are you ready? Okay. You got a remote for this? It's on the side, right there. Okay, we'll turn some time over to Nathan Starr from the medical community.
Okay. There we go. So I appreciate everyone being here. I know it's getting late and I'll try to move through this as fast as I can. So just to dive in, just to introduce myself, I'm Nathan Starr. I'm actually, it's called a hospitalist. I work in internal medicine, taking care of really sick adults. We have a wide variety of medical professionals who will be here. We'll have a lot of skill and abilities to take care of a lot of problems. We're hoping all we're taking care of blisters, and that is really the goal, is we avoid everything more serious. So we want to help everyone be safe and be able to maintain a spiritual experience despite possible difficulties, physical. We are going to be prepared for the worst. We're going to try to help you prevent these most common problems. And just to let you know, one thing that's nice where we're going is we have self-service, so the communication gets very easy. We're close. If there is a big emergency, we're a lot closer than some other locations are. So in that sense, there's a lot less to worry about. And obviously, we want to make sure we meet church standards and guidelines. If you read the church handbook on Trek, like they actually want us to be able to take care of a lot. Like safety is paramount. And so I laid these out. I don't think we need to read through them. We are going to send this out to everyone. But basically, you know, the church wants these kids to be safe. And the reason is, I think we know, we're sitting here in air conditioning all the time. We sit way too much. When we're out with no shade, 85-degree temperature for 3 days, it is incredibly physically demanding. Like, we are not used to it, and we have to recognize that. And that's why, you know, they do the things with the food. It's actually in the church handbook not to feed kids biscuit and a thing of soup for dinner because it's unsafe. Our bodies are not ready for it. We're just used to different levels of comfort. That's why every year in football, a couple of kids die from heat stroke, even if it's 80 degrees, because we are not accustomed to it. So we do want to be careful and keep everyone safe. So, we are gonna have emergency action plans, or we already have been developing on how to handle, really big problems. We will have plenty of first aid kits and handle common elements. And then there's these medical release forms. Since you're not finding out who's in your families until really the day of, we are actually, everyone who has significant medical problems, we are gonna be contacting their parents, and we will be prepared to help you with those. So we will know who the kids and adults are that we're worried about. So, it's important for you to know that, but just be aware that that is something we're gonna help you with, and that we will have talked to everyone and have a good understanding of who we really need to worry about. Just some of the general principles. The biggest one for us is gonna be drinking enough. This is very likely gonna be much warmer. In past, when we've gone to Deseret, we've had significant issues with dehydration when the temperature is 65 degrees. So I think you can imagine when it's possibly in the mid to upper 80s, it's gonna be a whole new level. And the biggest thing we ask of you is that if you're worried, please ask us to come help out, to take a look at something. We would much rather have to evaluate 100 people who have nothing wrong than miss the one person who has something. So just, we're there to help you. We will be out amongst all the companies when we're trucking. So there's gonna be an ER nurse at base camp, and then there will be at least one person per company out amongst you. We know once we start trucking, it tends to spread out quite a bit. And so we will be spread out with you, and there'll be somebody very close by. Apparently we found this out, there's an air-conditioned medical bunkhouse at base camp. So if someone's really struggling, we will take care of that. And one thing that's different with this truck is there's actually, you can't have vehicles on the truck trail with us unlike past years. So if there is significant trouble, we will have to take them back to base camp to deal with it. But we're hoping, again, to avoid that, and the common stuff we'll just handle out on the trail. So like I talked about, we do have these emergency action plans. Please communicate with us. Any decision on whether somebody can continue trekking, we will make as a medical committee. So you don't have to worry like you need to make that decision. We will help make that decision. I know last time I went on this, we at one point after the women's pool had about 20 girls who wanted to ride in the truck. We talked to them all. We realized they were just kind of tired after the women's pool, and we managed to convince them to finish walking, mainly by telling them that the truck that was waiting that they could have ridden in wasn't for them. And they just kept going right past it and managed to finish. Here's an example of what we're hoping would happen. Somebody gets hurt on the trail. So your job as a mom, pa, and big brother is you'll let the company captain know, and then they'll let the medical staff and the trail boss know. You guys do what you need to do for basic first aid, and then we will come and take over. And if it's serious enough, we have to evacuate, which occasionally has happened once or twice. We'll make sure we contact the parents, priesthood leaders, and decide, that you need to go to a medical facility or what's going to happen. And again, we feel very comfortable. We'll keep people safe and can do these evaluations. What I want to do now is just run real quickly through some medical emergencies that we hope don't happen, and then spend a little bit more time on the common stuff and what you guys can do to help make this a lot better by avoiding the common problems. So the things that we commonly see, problems with diabetes, asthma, some seizure disorders possibly. And again, since you're not finding out who's in your family till the night before, we will know all these kids that we're worried about and any adults, and know who they are and what medications are on it and all that. So let's talk about some of the scary stuff. So we're out walking and I'm carrying too much extra weight, and all of a sudden I clutch my chest and fall over. So if you see someone collapse and they're not conscious, that is a cardiac arrest. until you prove it's not. So the first thing you do is you call for help. You start CPR. If you are BLS trained, please do BLS. If you're not BLS trained, you push really hard and fast on the center of their chest, 100 times a minute. And then we will get help there. We're gonna have a defibrillator. We have cell service. You know, we really hope this doesn't happen, but if it does, you know, that's really your job. Number one, get help, start CPR. And, you know, then the help will arrive and take over. Yeah. No, we have to get permission from the state president to take the one from here. So we should have a defibrillator. I don't want to use that. So seizures, I think there are going to be a couple of kids who've had seizure disorders. So they, you know, there's a huge variety of seizures. The most common kind, you know, the grand mal, they'll have loss of consciousness with tonic-clonic movements, and the shaking. So the big thing is, you know, you don't have to try to restrain them. You don't want them to hurt. So you kind of clear the area. Once it passes, you roll into the rescue position on their left side, and then you know, make sure they're breathing and you know, until help arrives. And then, you know, we'll get there and kind of take over and take care of everything else. The big thing to remember is, you know, don't try to restrain them. Make sure the area is clear so they don't get hurt, and then once it ends, roll on the left side, rescue position, and you know, check their airway, breathing, and circulation. There are some diabetics going, and we have had trouble in the past with both low and high blood sugar. The big thing to know about diabetics is high blood sugar takes a long time to cause problems. Low blood sugar kills you in 10 minutes. So if you know you have a diabetic, if they start getting shaky or sweaty or irritable, get them food right away. You don't wait to check their blood sugar. You just give them something to eat and drink immediately, and then let us know. Now, if they start to have abdominal pain, if they're starting to vomit, that could be a sign their blood sugar is getting really high. We want to know for sure. But the big one we worry about is their blood, you know, they're out walking and they're not eating enough and their blood sugar gets low. So just make sure, get something in them right away.
Are you gonna provide glucose packets to those companies?
So, I mean, you know, the best thing is actually, you know, granola bar, you know, candy, anything like that. Gatorade works just as well. And then we'll have some abilities, some higher level stuff if it's really bad, some glucagon and D50 and things that we'll take care of. Any questions? If you have any questions, please interrupt. The one we're probably more worried about is asthma. We do have some pretty severe asthmatics going. It is full on pollen season and it's super dusty. So asthma could definitely be a problem. If your trucker has asthma and has an inhaler, make sure they have it with them. And if they start getting short of breath at all, let us know. Asthma exacerbations can happen very fast. And usually if we jump on them early, we can knock them out and not allow it to be a problem. So just watch out for that. And you know, we're gonna be ready. You know, we'll have a nebulizer and all kinds of fun stuff to take care of that. I know last trek they did have to send somebody home because they couldn't get their asthma to calm down. And again, it's dusty, it's pollen season. You know, it's something to keep a really close eye on. There is a possibility there could be snakes out there. I wouldn't be surprised.
They said no snakes.
They said no snakes? Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
I don't know, I've taken care of snakes that's not far from that area.
They lied to me.
So I don't know, it's not far from the Rust Desert, but there's a lot of snakes. So the big thing and this is just in good general, all snake bites I've ever taken care of, people are playing with the snake. Turns out if you don't pick the snake up, you won't get bitten. If you do get bitten, you know, they talk about like you cut around it or you suck it out or you put it, don't do that. Just you keep wherever they get bit, you keep that down below their heart, you try to not get them excited, and then you get them to the hospital so they can get anti-venom, and they'll be fine. So, any injury that's beyond like a minor scrape or cut that you're worried about at all, please let us know. So we can take a look at it. We want you to be overcautious. So obviously, you know, if somebody gets cut real bad and there's severe bleeding, you know, the first thing you do is send someone to get help. You know, this basic first aid stuff, you elevate the area, you apply direct pressure, you cover it with something. If they're bleeding really bad and it's starting to bleed through, do not take off the thing you have it covered, just add something else to it and just keep reinforcing, and then we will get there and take care of it. Sprains and strains are gonna happen. Let us know so we can come make sure that, you know, there's not a fracture or anything more serious. You know, it's good we're gonna have ice so we can help take care of that. Obviously, it's just the basics. You elevate, compression, rest, then heat after a while. Again, we'll help decide if the trekker can continue, if they need to be done. Fractures are definitely possible. So if you're worried, again, just get help. Don't move them unless you have to because they're in an unsafe location. And any bleeding, gentle pressure, keep them immobilized. If you see something poking out that shouldn't be, just cover it. And, you know, don't
If they're not passed out.
It happens. You know, don't worry about trying to reset or realign. We actually have some people with experience in that if it's necessary, that we will take care of that. So somebody you know, they being dumb like teenagers, and they fall off they're trying to stand up in the handcart and they fall off and get their neck or something. If you're worried about a neck injury, you don't move them unless they have immediate danger. Don't try to roll them over. Just have someone kneel down and hold their head in place, and then we will come get there. But just immobilize them, and then we'll take care of it. So hopefully none of these things happen. These are kind of like the scary, like you want to totally avoid. But what I want to do is spend a few more minutes on the stuff that is going to happen. So last time I went on Trek, it was the day of the women's pool. It was 60 degrees, and we had 2 or 3 girls pass out. Every single one of them, at the end of the women's pool, ask them, how much water have you drinking? What would you guess was the average? This is like 2 in the afternoon. None to 8 ounces. The most was 8 ounces of water, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Girls don't want to pee on Trek. They won't drink. It is going to be a problem. It is every single year, and it's mostly the girls because they don't want to pee. So one of the big things you guys have to do is get the girls to drink water. The guys too, but it's not as usually big a deal for the problem. If they're thirsty, they're dehydrated. And it's not going to take long. Every single time you stop, you should be bugging them to drink. You know, just drink continually. You know, the Gatorade helps. You know, we're going to have some electrolyte tabs if it's a big problem, you know, which can help. But watch out, like if they're starting to get pale, if they're having headaches or dizziness, if they're sweating a lot, like they're getting into trouble. And we got to jump on it or they're going to get into really big trouble. Again, it's going to be 85 degrees, there's 0 shade. From that time that sun comes up to the sun goes down, you're out in the sun. It's going to happen. So just especially watch your girls really closely, make sure they're drinking, and if you're worried, help us get involved. And you know, same thing, watch the guys too. Like I said, it's the peeing problem. It is what it is. Guys don't worry about it as much. The big thing to watch out for is if you start to see this where you're worried that they're pretty dehydrated, get them in the shade, you know, put them on their back, raise their feet to get some blood back to their brain, have them sip water, start to get them wet, and then actually, shoot, I thought I had changed that. We don't have a medical vehicle. If we're worried, we'll have to take them back to base camp. So I apologize, I didn't update that. The big one to watch out for though is heat stroke. So heat stroke kills people every year. And that's different than dehydration. When someone has heat stroke, they start to turn red, their skin gets dry, often their pupils get really small. Their breathing tends to be like this slow, noisy breathing. A lot of times they're confused. They can, even to the point of becoming unconscious. We see this is a true medical life-threatening emergency. It means that their body's core temperature is getting too high and they're gonna be in trouble if we don't treat them. So the treatment is just, you have to cool them off. So you get them down on the ground, you get them wet, we get them back to the medical bunkhouse into air conditioning where you get all their clothes off and you soak them, basically. And the best treatment, what they tell you is you actually put them in an ice bath. And you have to cool them off. So our goal is if you start to see dehydration, we catch it there so it doesn't get to this point. But it is going to be warm enough that heat stroke can happen, for sure, unless we're incredibly lucky. So please just watch out if you see any warning signs, if you're concerned at all, if they're not acting right, and you'll tell, they look off, they're struggling, let us know so we can keep them safe. If we do get, any questions with that, I guess, before I go on? Oh, they got really quiet.
Like spray bottles and just spray everybody down, stuff.
Yeah, I mean, spray bottles for sure help keeping them. One thing, we'll talk about the sun, that actually, people feel like, when they're hot, they want to remove clothing, which if they're getting heat stroke, yes, you probably do. But the reason we dress like this isn't because, the reason pioneers dress like this isn't because they're modest. It's because they're carrying their shade around. Like if you roll up your sleeves, you're evaporating like crazy, you're getting sunburn, more evaporation. So the reason we hats and long sleeves is because that is our shade, and it really makes a huge difference. That's why, you go in the desert, they're not walking around in shorts and a t-shirt. They're wearing the long robes because that is their shade. You have to carry it with you. So one thing that actually helps, as much as the kids don't want to because it feels so weird for them, is dressing appropriately, keeping those sleeves rolled down, wear their hats. It'll make a big difference with drinking enough. And then that's where, you spray them with the spray bottle and get some of that going, and it really does help them cool off. When we were up at the higher elevations, hypothermia was actually a concern. I guess if we got a really bad rainstorm, it could happen, but probably not here. So just to finish off, I want to talk about skin. This is the biggest area where people get miserable. And we will have skin problems no matter what we need to do. No matter what we do, it's going to happen. So look for, one thing I really ask your kids, how are your feet doing? Because if they get a sore spot, we want to treat the sore spot before it's a big blister. If they're starting to limp, if they're walking gingerly, let's jump on it as fast as we can. So the thing is, for skin problems, the big risk factors, if you have friction, pressure, and moisture, you're gonna get skin problems. So we're gonna be all sweaty and walking around a ton, which provides all of those. So it is gonna happen. So for blisters, it definitely can ruin trek if it gets bad enough. So things that can help, 2 pairs of socks can help because they rub against each other, against your skin, keeping your feet as dry as possible. Which is, one thing, it makes it a little hard with how sandy it is, because those mesh shoes help a ton if it's not sandy, because they breathe so well. But, you're right, the sand is worse than the breathing. Wearing broken-in shoes. So, one time, so we had been walking for 2 hours, and this girl had a blister already. Great. She comes to me and says, I have a blister already. And I'm like, okay, take your shoes off. And she literally slid her shoe off, like didn't untie it. She had, loosely tied slip-on, slip-off tennis shoes. So we actually had to stop everyone and made everyone untie their shoes and retie them. So I would encourage you to do that. Like, some of these kids, it's funny, they're not used to this, and just basic things like that. Make sure your shoes are tied appropriately. Let's treat a hot or tender spot. you know, it's perfectly fine if you guys wanna have some moleskin or basic bandages. If not, we are gonna have backpack loads of them and we're gonna be everywhere and we'll take care of them. If they really do get a big blister, that, one important, you don't wanna de-roof them, cause that layer of skin actually protects that really raw skin underneath. So we'll break the edges, and then one thing I like to do if the blister's bad enough is you actually just wrap it in duct tape, cause it won't come off and it provides really good protection. But we'll help take care of any blister you want us to. If you wanna have some moleskin, that way you can just pop some on, that's perfectly okay. But we're there to help, and we look at a lot of stinky feet in the truck, so it's okay. We have lots of gloves, so we don't have to touch the stinky feet. The other big issue is chafing, and especially us men, I don't know, I think it gets us more. This can be bad. So the big key is keeping things dry and then early intervention. So if you're worried about it, honestly, just bring baby powder and put it on. And that just sucks all the moisture away and it helps a lot. If it starts to happen, we're gonna have a whole bunch of barrier cream. And then usually what works really well is you put some barrier cream on, that'll protect the skin, and then use some baby powder and it'll keep it dry. So just, it's kind of don't be embarrassed to ask about it, because it can be terrible. If it happens, and again, it's hot and sweaty, and it probably will. So we've already brought up insect bites. We don't have to worry about insects. We recommend DEET products. I know there's concern about DEET, is it good or bad? It works really well for mosquitoes. Non-DEET products don't work nearly as well. We recommend you use it liberally if it's a concern, especially, the areas mosquitoes tend to get us are cuffs, so around the wrists, waist belts, and then that same thing at the bottom is where we'll get in and get you. Sun is a huge issue. Again, last time I was on trek, 60 degrees, girl didn't wear her hat, had a blistering sunburn on her cheeks the first day that probably are at risk of scarring. Make sure they wear their hats, make sure they're putting sunscreen on. There is zero shade, and you are in the sun from the moment it goes up to the moment it goes down. And if they're rolling their sleeves up, which we saw all the time, they're coming in with blistering sunburns on their arms because they want to roll their sleeves up. So lots of sunscreen. Remember, your clothing is shade, and we'll have lots of stuff to deal with sunburns because they're not going to listen, and it will happen.
On the sunscreen, do you recommend the spray-on type or the lotion?
I personally trust the lotion. The spray-on, you may or may not get it everywhere. That lotion, you see where it goes. So I recommend that.
The spray-on, you can sneak up and skip them.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do
The
that.
best thing to do is to wear your shade and just not get sun on. That's what really works the best. So just in conclusion, first thing you do if you're worried is communicate. You're not alone. There's a lot of us around. We're there to help. We have no other responsibilities except to help you guys out medically, and we're excited to be here and to help. Ask questions, talk to them, make sure they drink enough is probably the big key. Just like I said, watch your girls. They're not going to drink. And it could, if they're dizzy, lightheaded, not feeling well, it's, at a point, that's good because it's good to learn to do hard things, but also at a point, they're not going to feel the spirit and it's just going to be miserable. Okay, any last questions?
What about ticks? Do they check for ticks? Is there a problem down there? I know there was a fun desert one.
Yeah, I don't think that's not tick.
Yes.
Is it?
Ticks down there?
There's lots of ticks.
Is there?
If they've got livestock, they've got ticks.
It's just, grass, usually ticks are really like the woodsy stuff we have more, but we'll see.
Let them fall off. They'll let it fall off.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna send this out to everyone, and
we will be easily identifiable, you'll know who we all are, and we'll be there to help. Thanks for your time.
So the way we're planning on doing the communication right now is we will have your company captains and a medical staff with your company at all times. If they need to get a hold of someone from base camp or us, they'll call us on our cell phones. We've got cell service. We talked about getting radios, but I think we're just gonna go with just the cell phones. If we get radios, then we will, but I don't know when Scott is gonna work, so. Get with your company captains if you think there's a problem, grab the person that was medical, and they'll have different color armbands or bandanas, whatever they end up doing. They will be easily identifiable, like you said. But communication is the key, so if you think there's a problem, just ask, and people will be there to help. We don't want any issues, big issues. We'll have small ones, but no cardiac arrest, right? No. All right. So we'll turn just a few minutes over to President Drummond. Again, we thank him. He's awesome. He has done a lot to help get the assignments done, and he's been at almost every meeting we've had with the committees and stuff. So we'll turn some time over to him, and then our closing prayer will be by Brother Carl Childs. And we've got refreshments, get something to eat, and then we do have a hand card out there if you want to take a look at it, and we'll go through a couple things out there. But we do appreciate your time, and thank you for everything. We'll send a link to the videos that Travis Peters has been making while we've been sitting here to each of you and those who weren't able to be here, and we'll send out the medical stuff as well. So thank you all. President Drummond.
I'm surprised it's not warm. I won't take long. I just want to say thank you. We love you. We appreciate your willingness to accept these assignments. This is a great opportunity, as you've heard. It's not. You're going to have such an impact on these youth's lives to bless them. But what you don't realize is it's going to change your lives forever. And it's going to be hard, but it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great. Find joy in the moments. Find joy in the journey. That's why we're here. Make the most of it. Don't be afraid. Have faith. Trust in your Heavenly Father, and He'll bless you. He'll guide. He'll give you the direction you need for your youth and for yourselves. So don't fear. Trust in Him. I bear testimony that this is His work. That He loves us. He wants to bless us. And He wants to bless the youth of our state. We share that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.